start the meeting and start the recording, and I'll say hello. This is Jonathan Flora calling the Wednesday, August 28th, Yolo County Fire Safe Council meeting to order. Our first action is to approve the agenda, and that was sent out last week with a full packet as well as yesterday. So hopefully everybody's reviewed it. Looking for a motion in a second. Thank you.
This is Fetish. I'll move to approve.
Hold on.
We had two right on top of one another.
I'll second whoever else was on there.
All right, we got a motion in a second. No other late additions, correct? Hearing none. Okay, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Aye. Nay. Hearing none. That is passed. Action number 3, it's to approve the minutes from July 24th. That was in the meeting notice from the week prior. Hopefully everybody has had a chance to review those. I have no comments, but looking for any comments or the motion in second.
There are no comments. I move to approve.
I'll second that unless somebody else wants in on this game.
All right. Got a motion in a second. Again, all in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Nay. Sounds like that motion carries. We're now to 4 for member announcements.
Okay, I have one member announcement. I'm going to share my screen. So the Green Valley Fire Safe Council, who some of you from the beginning of this remember that they were the closest fire safe council to us and helped us all get going. They are doing an invite tour only of a big shaded fuel break that they have. And that's near Fairfield. And here is the information that you have to RSVP. It's invitation only. There's going to be CAL FIRE folks out there, and it's kind of cool. You know, we talk a lot about shaded fuel breaks, but it's really neat to actually see one. So that is my announcement. And I will not be able to attend, but I believe Tracy from Forever Green Forestry is going.
If possible, could she take some pictures or a video so we could see it?
Yes, Tracy, did you hear that? Could you take some pictures?
This is Karen Young from Solano RCD. I believe that Rochelle with Green Valley Fire Safe Council has a video introducing the project on their Facebook page. It's, I think, from last year, but it does give a pretty good overview.
Oh, could you send us a link?
I will do that when it is safe to do so.
Thank you. Does anyone have any other announcements?
This is Karen Young again. I was going to give this during the updates portion, but it is pretty cool. So sneaking in as an announcement. The Glen Cove Fire Safe Council, one of the newest ones locally, and one of our most recently recognized Fireways communities, we'll be having a press event on Friday, August 30th, this coming Friday, at 11:30 to celebrate the signs going up. There will be some speakers. I'm happy to share the information with anybody interested afterwards. I'll put the link in, or I'll put my email address into the chat box if you'd like more details.
Cool. Thank you. Okay. That's it for
Yes.
announcements.
According to the agenda, we're on to the item 5, special presentation.
Okay, Lieutenant Machado, that's you. So we have a guest from the Yolo County Sheriff's Office to talk about the evacuation tags, which we had discussed a couple months ago. And I have a visual aid. Like to see it.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Where this came from is that, over the last, several years with the fires that have burned through. Hang on, let me close my door so I clear out the rain. So the fires that we've had that have burned through primarily Western Yolo County, there's not really a state or FEMA or anything standard associated how to mark like evacuations or residents that have been evacuated or they're still on site. And even within the fire service, from talking with them, there is no like standard, hey, this is how it's done. So everybody kind of uses different processes. One of the things that we kind of implemented in Yolo County that we had found, I think, from Butte County prior to them implementing these tags was, when we made notification of evacuation, we would put 2 strands of sheriff's caution tape on the fence or on what mailbox or whatever it was that was near the road if the person was staying. And then we asked them, hey, if you do decide to evacuate and leave, please tear off one of the strips. So that way, when we only see one strip, we know that that property is evacuated totally and nobody should be on site. Which it worked, but then, there was confusion. Like the next summer it was, well, is it 1 or is it 2, depending on who was on scene and how things got started. So one of our deputies went up to Butte County during their major fires up there and told us about these evacuation tags. And then ultimately they did some more research and they found like Sonoma County has them and so on and so forth. So what we're just trying to do is we're trying to find a way to be able to fund these tags, provide them to the high fire probability areas within the county, and do some level of training, not only with our staff, with fire, and with the residents, to where that way it kind of helps to streamline the process of who's been evacuated, who hasn't been evacuated. Because what we see a lot in our Western county area is they don't evacuate until they can see the flames, and then by then it's a rush to evacuate usually. And so this kind of gave us that. It was a tool that we thought would be beneficial to the county, especially in those fire-prone areas, to assist in documenting or at least making a visual aid of that they're actually evacuated. So I know that I think Kristen had brought it up that potentially, this was a place that maybe we could find some shared funding or something like that. Because we don't necessarily have a single funding source to be able to purchase these things to give to our citizens or even to the fire district to be able to utilize in these fire prone areas. So that's kind of how I got involved in it, and that's how it came, I believe, before you guys.
Right, because you had been out in the there was that fire, I think it was in June or July, and you have to knock on people's doors and drive down their driveways, and this would just streamline the whole process.
Yeah. Because I mean, if they, now I know, you know, uh, our OES office, they've implemented a new evacuation zone program and stuff like that is going to be help streamline a lot of it too, and the fact that it's more concentrated in the way that they've broken up the zones. And I mean, I think in a perfect world, right, when those evacuation notices go out, especially with the new layout of the evacuation zones, that residences who chose to evacuate would just be able to basically hang that tag on their mailbox on their way out, or on their fence on their way out, and then that would give us a jump on being able to prioritize what properties we need to go into, rather than going into properties that have already evacuated just based on the notice that they were given by OES, which obviously we know all takes time. So the more time we can cut out, the more time we can, put where it's needed. And so it's just a matter of just finding a place to get that, to get the funding to be able to actually achieve this, I think is what the big question is.
Right. So we've got this pot of money, and we can, this body can move some around. And I think Kristen and Allie and I had priced, these are a heavy duty or paper, and they'd have to have the little tag, which adds to the cost. So we had figured a couple $1,000s. Looks like there are some questions. Tara had her hand up.
Well, I think you just answered my question. My question was going to be cost. And then I just want to check for clarity on process. So the idea is high fire prone areas, you would distribute these to all those residents with education saying, if you evacuate, hang this at the end of your driveway, either on a mailbox or a fence, wherever it's visible. So that's the plan. Is that right?
Yes, that would be the plan. So like in those high fire prone areas is actually similar to like how now, we're implementing the Ag Pass program, and we're rolling out some different trainings for the Ag Pass program. Would be to do the same type of thing, to have trainings for these areas that have historically, had fires, large fires that have moved through those areas, and basically be able to provide training and explain like, hey, this is the purpose of this. This is where we need it to go. We don't want it on your front door 2 miles down your driveway. We want it, out at the roadside, whether it's on your mailbox or on the fence, that leads into your property. And then in addition to that would be to have a cache of them also for the county fire agency that's responsible for those districts, as well as a cache for sheriff's office staff when we go out on these incidences in those areas. So that way, if somebody has lost theirs or doesn't have it, we would still have the ability to be able to implement them and put them into place on those residences that have forgotten or lost it or
Smart.
have never had it in the first place.
Okay, so $2,000 ish, Tanya, or
I think that's about what it was. And I think we thought we would order about 1,000 of them. But it's also kind of, what you guys want to delegate towards it. But look at all those hands. Okay, Chief Snyder has a comment also.
Yeah, so just I love the idea. Just a couple of comments and questions. Is this something that we can mark with as a fire crews as we go in and evacuate? We can date it, so that way if they get left behind or something, we know that it's a current tag. And then what mechanism for attaching it are you looking at? Since we get pretty strong winds, especially in the winters area, my fear is it's something that if it's not something durable, we'll just have them blow away on us with those winds that come through there.
Yeah, we had the reason that they're a little pricier than just copies is, if you can see my screen, there's a hole punched in them, which is reinforced, and then a wire, so they'd be wired on. So they should be pretty sturdy, and then there'd be like cardstock or something heavier. If that answers your question.
It does, thank you.
And as far as for like the dating, I don't think that would be an issue, Chief.
Yeah,
I
we could
think-
leave a spot, right, for you to put a date on if you
Yeah, I
wanted.
mean, I think ideally, we would love to say that, hey, this is going to be a multi-use item. But who knows if that's, legitimate or not. We won't know that until, how they work. But I think definitely, even if it was on the backside or something like that, just being able to put the dates, and if they did reuse it, you could line out the date that was already there and put the next date that it was used. So I think the material itself should not prohibit being written on with a permanent marker of some type.
Yeah, even if we just use like a dry erase, or not dry erase, but like grease pencil. That way it can
Mhm.
still be taken off if we need to, but something that'll be robust with the weather if it catches wet or anything like that.
I think, Jim, you had your hand up next.
Yeah, thanks. One concern I have, I mean, I think this is a great idea, but if someone has they put that on their mailbox and they have a long driveway and they can't see the house from the driveway or from the roadway, what keeps someone from zipping up to that house that they now know is completely empty and loading up the the TV and all that kind of stuff and getting the heck out of there?
I guess I would say that nothing does. The same goes for the current process, or we've even seen where agencies go in and mark the driveway with an E for evacuation with like a marking paint. So I think it's one of those things that it's obviously not a perfect world issue. However, I do think that one of the things, the benefit that it does do is, especially if that area remains under that evacuation notice, I think it allows us to spend more time and effort on those properties that are evacuated to check them out, rather than going into a property that somebody's actually there, which obviously wastes precious staff and resources in those. So I mean, I think that they're, like I said, ideally, we would have total control over these areas, but we all know that that's not the reality, especially during those early stages of these fires. And so, I mean, to answer your question, there isn't, right? And that is obviously a risk all the time, that, you're basically making this a known, a known thing that, hey, these areas or these places are evacuated. In addition to that, some of the benefits and unfortunate parts about evacuations in general is that they're oftentimes publicized in the media, so everybody knows where to go if they're looking for, those opportunities. So, I mean, I the way I look at it is, at least, as that incident progresses, it identifies those areas and those residences that need that extra attention, where we're not wasting our time on those ones that people have stayed or remained.
And then Kate.
Thanks. Like other people, I'm really excited about the possibility of this, and from what you're saying, it sounds like this would be one tool in the toolbox rather than one thing that could solve all of the issues. And so I had a couple questions. One is that if it's paper, and we're talking in this case maybe specifically about fire, that just kind of like the obvious thing about, if we're putting paper labels out there and there's a wildfire, how do we deal with that? And that I can see if I was given a paper tag, and then at some point, and then a year or two or 5 or whatever later, there's a fire and I need to think about putting it out there, then I'm probably going to have a lot on my plate as I'm evacuating, and trying to remember where the tag is and to put it up there it might not immediately be first on the list. And so I'm guessing that, as you've talked to people in different agencies, that they might have had ideas about how they kind of keep that fresh in people's minds, or or how many people really do put them out, or do they end up having to check. And I guess the last one would be, do responding agencies then basically assume that when somebody has a tag out there that it's correct? And does it make it so that you don't actually have to go to the house and check? Or how does that play out?
So, I mean, I can't speak for other agencies and how they do it. I would assume, like you're saying, right? If we pass these things out this year, and we have significantly wet winters and we don't have, fires, not like this year, but like the previous year where we didn't have very many fires, throughout California, that yeah, it gets shoved in the old junk drawer or something like that. And so I think that that's one of the things too, though, that as we prepare for fire season, OES, the sheriff's office, the fire agencies, maybe it's a benefit for them to put, hey, this is a reminder for you, in our fire district or in our area that, make sure you know where your evacuation slip is. Kind of like sometimes they do in preparation for storms, make sure you have flashlights and make sure you have extra batteries. And so, and I think that that's also why it's important that we have a cache of them, with the sheriff's office, with those fire agencies in these high prone areas, because yeah, that's going to be it, right? Is that the person has lost it or misplaced it, and we don't want it to be, well, if you don't have one, then you're not going to have one type of thing. To your question about confirmation, I would say that we are not going to go face value, right? If somebody does put this on their mailbox, we are going to go and confirm that that is the actual, that is what it actually is. And I think like the winter's chief, I think it brought up, that we would probably date it on the back and initial it as to who actually confirmed that the evacuation slip is accurate, or if we posted it ourselves after the evacuation, then we would do the same thing. So yeah, I don't think it'd be a face value thing. As with most all that stuff, I think there's some level of confirmation that still has to go into that. Not that I would hope anybody would ever go around posting these things on people's places, but you just never know.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so,
yeah, no, I just didn't know if somebody would say, oh, I'm gonna put it out there, and then and then have another member of the household go back, or if not everybody evacuated, and
that is a real issue, right? And I think that is one of those things that we have seen in the past where the husband stays and the wife and the kids all leave. Well, that's not an evacuated residence, it's still an occupied residence. And that's where, like I said, we had kind of the tagging deal where it's like, hey, as soon as the last person's out, then, rip that second tag off. And so, that I think that's the same thing, is that, yes, and it may be one of those things, hey, well, I'm planning on staying. And that's where, hey, do you have your evacuation slip? Yes, I do. Or no, I don't. Okay, here is one. If you do decide to leave, then you need to post this, out on the mailbox, and kind of the same process.
Yeah, great. And in the other areas that are using these, so with the heavy cardstock in a wildfire area, I'm guessing if then a fire moves through kind of where people's mailboxes are, that then there'd be a secondary way, whether it's just painting on the driveway or whatever, doing that there's some sort of backup system.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things that this is just kind of that easy visual aid, but ultimately at the end of the day, like we log all of our, all of those evacuations in our CAD system. So we're able to go back, and I know part of, the revamp to the evacuation zones is to give us, just better control and better warnings, where we're not just blanketing a large area that doesn't necessarily need to be evacuated, which oftentimes results in just people staying and not going. And so, I'm sorry. Oh, and so anyhow, I would say yes. Obviously, it's paper. There's a possibility that it's going to burn. Ideally, hopefully, since it's out along the roadway, maybe it's a little bit more protected. But
great, perfect. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And there's a couple of comments in the chat. Reveille suggested it could live on the go bag. So I think that's a great idea. If you're going, there it is. You can put it on your mailbox on the way out. And Tracy mentioned that they have stashes of them at hardware stores to hand out to residents. I think there would have to be definitely some education. And that Sonoma and Napa counties are both doing this. And Elaine also had a question or comment. Are you there, Elaine?
Sorry. I think this is a great idea. I just know people are going to forget where they put it, or that sort of thing. So I think part of the education has to be, look, put this somewhere where it's readily accessible and you're not going to forget it. I'm thinking, I can think of a place in my house. I have a box right next to my door. That's where I'd put it. So just to remind them to do that. And then the other thing I thought of, and Kristen Wyvoda can talk about this, maybe in an evacuation order, they could actually put something in the alert that says, don't forget to put out your evacuation tag if you are evacuated.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. I know too that one of the things that we've been working with OES the last couple of years and trying to, find a good solid way is an actual like evacuation tracking deal that our guys can do out in the field. And maybe it's one of those things that on this card, maybe we put a QR code where they can just scan it with their smartphone and say, hey, this is my address, this is how many people, and we're evacuated. So it's even a secondary confirmation that they're out, and then that would post on our mapping, just through those like Everbridge systems and stuff like that too. So I think it adds it really gives us a lot of options on how we can track this stuff, both visually and then also with some type of data port or social media collection point.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I see a question about neighborhood with single mailbox kiosk type rather than individuals. And I'll tell you that we actually don't like mailboxes. We like fences, like the gate to somebody's property or the fence line or something like that that's right at the front. So in those cases where, we know that there's several areas in the county, especially on that Highway 16 corridor, where they have, large group mailboxes. So obviously those ones, we would want them actually like on the driveway or entrance to the property rather than out on the mailbox or out on a group of mailboxes. So it would be more focused on the individual house, not necessarily just the mailbox itself. We want something that's visible from the road. And oftentimes the biggest place we like to use is gates. Like a lot of our residences in these rural areas with these longer driveways like that have some type of gate or chain that goes across their driveway. And that's where we always like to mark stuff, just so that way as you pull up, you can see.
Looks like Ken is the last question.
Yeah, thanks. It's a good idea. I happen to know that because I had one on my door in the LNU fire. I don't know which agency placed it there, but they trusted me that I was actually leaving. I saw them hang it and I said, yeah, I'm going. And I did, but the sheriff, I think it was a Napa sheriff, took off before I was gone, so I could have cheated. But the real thing is that it's related to what you just said there, that some of these properties are kind of complicated with multiple entrances, and there isn't a single obvious entry point, and they're single fence. It's nice if there is. 2/3 of properties have that, but that last third have multiple driveways, multiple access points, or don't have a fence or a gate. So that when the one was hung on my place, it was just put on the front door, which like you say, it's going to be a waste of extra half-mile driving for the sheriff who comes out to check. So I don't know how you train homeowners to do the right thing in these more complicated places. It's like you always like the 80-20 rule, like 80% of the properties are easy and take no time, and the other 20% take 80% of the time. And I don't know, when things are tight around a fire, I don't know how you make sure that it's done right, and whether you want to do some specialized training for property owners whose properties are more complicated. Just an idea.
Yeah, I think that's one of those things too during the training. I think if people are, hey, what about this or what about that? I think it's, just gives us the ability to be able to go out and maybe we can go out with the fire department and say, hey, this is what our thoughts are. Maybe it's, hey, you don't have a mailbox there, but maybe, sink a peeler core in and just as that's your place to hang stuff or mark stuff, at the edge of your property. The one of the biggest reasons, like I said, with doors and stuff like that we don't like is just it oftentimes, pulls those resources deep into a property, and just, creates more time and risk to, our staff as they're moving up and down.
Yep. Yeah, thanks.
So given the fact that there's going to be some human error, but it would be nice to support the sheriff as much as possible. It seems like a good idea. Is that, Kate, what you were going to say?
Well, I'd be delighted to say that. But I also just wanted to toss in there, since a lot of what we're talking about, it seems like some of the local fire safe councils, and we have representatives of several here, might have a really important role to play with this in terms of making sure that people have it on their mind that, yes, evacuation tag, it is a thing. You know, where are you going to put it, and work with people on some of that. So that might, I'm just thinking that might be a way to kind of dial down into the local level with this.
Good point. So do we want to allocate some money to print out some of these and pass them out to our law enforcement and fire protection districts?
Do you want a motion?
We should come up with a dollar amount. I think I'm going to say in our research, it was $2,000 to $3,000 for 1,000 of them. You can give us a number to do not exceed.
And would 1,000 would that cover, say, like the Highway 16 and 128 corridors?
Yeah.
So
yeah, Kristen, I
had to pull up the quote.
Yes, thank you.
I couldn't remember it either. So we have two options, and these are for massive amounts. So people would have to do the math here. But for single-sided, for 10,000 is 5,592 with taxes, or double-sided, 10,000 would be $7,345.
Do you have the option to get less than 10,000?
Yes. Yeah, we can get less than these, and these are stock white poly art. This is exactly what that sample showed you. Our print shop called up to the areas that have been ordering these and got their exact same thing. And so these are already pre-gauged, ready to go with the eyelets and the wires attached. But yeah, we can order any amount of them, but they just gave us a quote for many of them. So just to give you a concept.
Okay. Awesome. And it looks like Ian did the math. It was $1.37 for a double-sided one.
Thank you, Ian.
Thank you.
I think double-sided makes sense too, in case the wind is blowing around.
Yeah, agreed.
And with double-sided, it's the same thing on both sides. Great.
All right. So how many of these things you want? How many do you think you want? 1,000?
Yeah, from the sheriff's. So I think if we start with 1,000, and after the training and everything else, we can see how that lays out with what we can not only give to the residents, but also be able to stockpile for the fire districts and a cache for the sheriff's office. And then, we can reassess at that point. But I think an initial purchase of 1,000 would be get us going in the right direction to then further assess needs in the future.
Okay, so that comes out to $1,370. Is that what I get?
Yes, but there will also be taxes and shipping.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I'm thinking 2,000 should do it.
You can't assume that what the 10,000 amount rate is going to be the same if you only buy 1,000. Usually price drops a lot.
That's true.
If we are ordering them and it stays in-house, the size won't matter. If it goes out of house because we want to do something different with them, then the price probably would change. But these are being done in-house by Yolo County Print Shop.
Well, that's great.
So,
okay.
I mean, I'd be entirely comfortable moving forward with us spending, what is it, the $1,370 to get 1,000 of them.
Or
well, up to
not to exceed 2,000.
Yeah, up to I would make a motion to
be more than that.
Yeah,
let's
I would
say,
make
yeah,
a
let's,
motion to expend up to $2,000 for the evacuation tags.
I'll second that.
There you go.
So got a motion on the floor, but we may have more discussion.
Okay.
I'll wait for the discussion.
Jorge's putting up the heart emoji, so so he's in.
The motion is to order 1,000 from the in-house Yolo printing for at a cost of not to exceed $2,000
Right.
And for the double-sided tags.
for the double-sided
The
tags.
double-sided tags, right.
Oh, and I should ask, does this include the wires?
Kristen says yes.
Yeah, it's pre-wired, so that saves also somebody's time pre-wiring them.
Great. Yeah, I don't want the sheriff's department or OES to be having to have like craft day, like cutting out little lengths of wire and sticking them on these
Well,
things.
I was planning on making it happen at a meeting if we had to do that. It's not going to be a group project.
We need an in-person meeting so we can wire our signs.
Yeah, there we go.
Is someone would harvest many thousands of bags of corn and put on wire tags like that. They're very easy to get tags with wires. Hearing no additional discussion, I guess I'm going to call the question unless there's more.
Let's see. Don put something in the chat. Don, I don't know.
How many properties in the high risk area?
I want to say there's around 750, but Kristen, you might know better.
I would have to look that up. I would not trust my off the head guess right now.
I think when we were putting together a grant, we got the information. It was around 700 and something. So I rounded up very liberally. Yeah.
And I'm guessing that this would be an initial purchase, because I mean I can see that if if a fire came into either an incorporated town or one of the larger communities, like whether it's Esparto or the city of Winters or something like that, that there's going to have to be a lot of marking of properties. But I'm guessing that this would be our first, potentially just our first foray into these tags. Does that kind of match the spirit of this?
Well, and I'll say too, from the sheriff's office, I would say that if a fire burns into a city, we would be marking those residences differently with an actual. There's it's a 4-part door tag that goes on that's used by the USAR teams and stuff like that, where it basically shows everything about that house and the evacuation component. Right. The point of these is that to do something like that in these rural areas where the vast majority of these houses are significantly off the roadway, that's why these tags kind of come into play. Whereas in a city, I can drive down the road and see most doors of a home from the roadway and be able to make the same assessment as if they had this hanging off of their mailbox or off their door handle. So I think the main focus of this is the rural areas, not necessarily the towns or incorporated cities themselves, as there's an alternative to that's much easier to print and make.
That's great. No, I really appreciate that clarification.
Okay. Well, given we're burning up the hour, are we ready to go ahead and vote on this?
Don,
Don has his hand up.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I could, if we've got 750 properties that we're looking at, I'd almost double the initial printing just so we have that out of the way. Because he wants to have 750 properties covered, and then he wants to have some for the sheriffs and some for the fire departments. I think, given the cost and the kind of what we see as a value in this program, we should just go ahead and invest in it. It's not that much more.
So, Elaine, would you be amenable to a friendly amendment to your
Absolutely.
motion? I'd be amenable to changing my second.
Okay, Don, how much more do you want?
Well, I just think that I'd almost double it.
I'll defer to the sheriff and other folks on that, but I think I would just double it because that way you'll have enough for the homes and then enough for the sheriff and enough for fire. Those are going to get spread pretty thin, pretty fast. If we double it, then we go up to $4,000.
4,000. Yeah, that's all right with me.
So from the sheriff, I would make a maybe 1,500 tags.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I know the 750 is a rough estimate, but I also don't want to just have them stockpiled someplace where they're getting eaten by rats or mice or anything like that, and just wasting away. So I don't want to go too crazy, but I think, if we are looking at that from the aspect, I think maybe do 1,500 tags, and then that would allow us to, at least give the fire districts a couple hundred tags, the sheriff's office has a couple hundred tags, and because obviously we're not going to be evacuating 750 homes. Hopefully we're not going to be evacuating 750 homes on any one fire, but and nor will we probably have 750 of the homeowners actually show up to the training and stuff like that. But I think 1,500 would be more than adequate for what we need to get this program going.
Okay, well, we can make the limit up to 4,000, and however many that you want to, however many you want to purchase is fine, as long as it's not up above 4,000. That's all.
So is the current motion would be for approximately 1,500 double-sided tags, expending up
no,
to...
the motion, Kate, the motion is to devote up to $4,000 to purchase these tags, and then leave it up to the sheriff's office and Kristen and whoever to decide how many they want. They have the dollar amount.
And Jesse, do you have a comment?
Yeah, I thought that the quote that I heard from Kristen, and I might have misheard it, was something like $6,000 for 10,000 single-sided and $7,500 for 10,000 double-sided. Wouldn't that be like 60 to 75 cents each rather than $1.30 each?
Math is difficult, but you're the big quotes you gave us, Jesse.
I think that we'll have plenty of money for 1,500.
Yeah, I think we will too.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
But I think it's good to have the buffer in case
whatever.
Right. And the money can be reallocated, whatever's not spent within this group. It's not disappearing. So
right. And then you can see how the evacuation tags work.
Okay. Well, let me restate the motion is to order the sheriff's office and OES to determine the number of double-sided evacuation tags to order not to exceed $4,000.
Right.
Correct?
Both
Okay.
Kate and I are fine with that amendment.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and call the question, and I'll wait a significant amount of time to either make sure we're recording or enough people saying yes or yay. And then I'll wait a few moments for nays. All in favor? Yay.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yes.
Any opposed? Nay. Believe that motion carries. Thank you.
All right.
On to
Thank
number
you,
6.
Lieutenant Machado, for joining us and giving us your info.
Thank you guys so much for your time and funding this program. I think it's going to be a great opportunity and a great way to support our citizens.
Yeah, thank you. So we have another.
Have you given us any idea where the money's going to come from? Do you know, or?
Well, we have that $800,000 pot of money that we have for different projects. That would be
okay.
From there. Yeah.
Great.
Our early action funding.
Perfect.
We're on to evacuation zones for Yolo County. Number 6.
All right.
we
I feel
have
like
time?
we've already been talking about this a little bit. Sam stole my thunder, but I'll put a link in the chat for everyone so you have access, and I will share my screen quickly. I won't take up too much time because I know we're running out. But thanks to everyone. We are moving forward. We are in a soft launch right now, and this is one reason I wanted to share it with this group so people can play around and see our zones. So for the most part, we went with the Smart Zones by Genesis. This put in factors of historical fires and other aspects that allowed us to see our zones a little bit different, as Sam Machado was saying. Couple of the cities did change some of the zones a little bit, tweaked them a little bit just to meet what they wanted. But for the most part, this is our new zone layout. This is the public safety view that I'm showing you right now. You guys did get a demo in this, but I wanted to show you. And one thing that we could do, but didn't want to do while we're in the meeting, is if I click on a zone, it is going to give me a summary of population, vehicles, areas, acres, and possible structures in the area. And then it goes down and how we can identify different resources. We could put different things up here. So more to come on the fancy features and all this that will be rolling out. But what I wanted to show is the public link is live, and that's what I gave you. And so if you click in any of the zones on the public link, you'll see that the one I clicked, it says their zone is normal. There's no critical notification. So if we were sending evacuations notice out, the status would change, the critical notifications would change, and they could see all the stuff. This even goes to like repopulation and everything like that. And the zones will change colors depending on the status. Some of you might have seen some of this as other areas have been evacuating, and many people are on Genesis right now. So we're in a soft launch. We have a training coming up in September, but we have put this information live on our website under our evacuation zone. We aren't doing the PR release until October 1st after our training. So if we need to tweak it or change anything, we aren't confusing the public if they see a zone changed or something wasn't right. But because it's a soft launch and you guys are parts of the Fire Safe Council, I do want everyone to take a look, kind of play around with the public side, make sure it makes sense to the public. We tried to put everything up here so it's really easy for them to see. And then October 1st, we'll be doing a large press release in joint with the cities, UC Davis, and PR materials will be going out to get people to know their zones and download the app. But wanted to provide you guys the link that we are in our soft launch, that it is actively live at the moment. And we're excited to be here. As Sam Machado said, we think this is going to be a great tool for the county and moving forward with communicating with our residents and keeping transparency. And as you see on the map before, almost everyone around us is on it except for Colusa at the moment and Sacramento. So it also helps with our high fire risk area when we have fires bumping up there, because it's easy communication and sync between what information one county is getting compared to the other county. So I'll stop there. Made it a little bit quicker than I was planning on it, but I didn't want to kill you guys with information since the last discussion was really important. Kate, you see your hand up.
Can I just say that I'm so stoked that there's a way, if I understand this correctly, that members of the public can just go to something, click on it and say, oh, no alerts for there right now, or, oh, wait, I'm supposed to be out of here. Or, or if you have family in an area, you can go and click on it. And I think that's great. It's yet another way of getting.
The other thing is too, if you download the app as a community member and you sign up for your zone, so you put in your address and you say, that's my zone, I'm following that zone. It will also send you alerts if we put any messaging in there. So it's another duplicate communication, even though we'll be taking that same zone and using it for the alert and warning portion of it. If you have Everbridge and Genesis downloaded, you're going to get both alerts. And so it's building that redundant communication with the community too, which I think is really important when it comes to evacuations. Thanks, Kate. Jorge?
Yeah, thank you. I'm really super excited about this as well, and having information ready at your hands. Thank you for It's up. Had a question. I think you mentioned that you can place like resources, like let's say we have the Empower Yolo office or some things like a charging station or things like that that we could put on for like Knights Landing residents or Clarksburg or whatnot. So like when those things are established, we can list them there. And then
Most
how
definitely,
easy is
yeah.
it to have them on and off, like turn them on and off? Because I know staffing and resources do play a part in it.
Super easy. They toggle on and off on the public safety side. And so we just click on a zone, we go to the drop down, we say we want to put a resource center or an information point or a cooling site. And yeah, super simple to do. And those are going to be the things that we're working out in our training coming up and during the soft launch period of how we'll make this all work.
Super exciting stuff. And forgive me as I'm on the road and I'm going 7 miles an hour in traffic.
No worries.
And,
Ken?
and Kristen, if I can give a little bit more information. If you paid attention to when Kristen put that up there, there was some of those areas are big areas. We can manipulate those into smaller areas based upon the needs of a particular incident. So it doesn't have to evacuate or send messaging out to everybody in that area. We can break up, like in the Madison one, we can break it up into 10 miniature small ones or smaller ones separately on the fly.
Thank you, Kurt, for addressing that. They did see a demo, but it's been a mixed group from when we did the demo. But yeah, it is nice that we can target it a lot easier too, and not send massive messages.
And
quick question. You said the soft launch is beginning. What's the time you expect for how long the soft launch will go and then full release?
Perfect. Thank you, Ken. So soft launch is now. Our public big PR release that we're really going to push this out to everyone is going to be October 1st. But the information is already up on our website because if questions and feedback are coming in, so we're not pushing it out a lot, but I am sharing it with specific groups. And of course, if anyone went to our website, they would see it. But we're just trying to make sure we're working out the kinks before we really push it out to the public and do a big PR push.
If you have any specific things you'd like us to look at anywhere, just ping me, and I'm happy to shake anything down you'd like.
Perfect. And if you'll take a look at our website on the evac zones and make sure it makes sense and the links work and stuff like that. I know I've had my access and functional needs group kind of do the same thing, but getting different eyes, different perspectives, just to make sure it makes sense to the public, it's easy to understand, and things are in the right place. That would be great too.
I'll give it a gander. Thank you.
Thanks, Ken. I appreciate it. All right, I'll stop there since I know there's more on the agenda, but thank you everyone for your help with this, and more to come as we get through this soft launch and materials start coming out.
excellent. Nice. Thank you.
Okay, we're on to item 7, the approval of the letter to Caltrans. We have that.
So I sent this out last week, and then yesterday I looked at it and fixed a few typos, and also got a few more little details from Chief Watson. But I did the point of the letter. We wanted to stress that the safety of the residents has been compromised because of this paperwork snag. So it's pretty much the same as what was sent out. And there's no CCs to elected officials. Hey.
I have just a couple things. I think overall it's a really good letter and explains the situation and what we want done. And one detail is I believe the resort on 128 is Canyon Creek Resort. I can double check. I mean, I was reading this over right before the meeting.
Did I put a name on there?
I think
okay.
it's Canyon Resort. But I can.
You're right.
Canyon
All right,
Creek.
fixed.
And let's see. Let me look at mine. at the bottom of this, or the end of that same paragraph, it mentions which protects a small community to the east of the highway. And I don't know if the word small is necessary or just saying a community. I would just say a community. And frankly, if a fire gets going up there, not only is it going to affect, it's going to affect several communities of different sizes and eventually, move towards some fairly large ones. And then 2 paragraphs on the paragraph that says, despite communication with Caltrans, where it says the presence of cultural resources, I don't know if it's worth just giving a brief description of what those are, if to make it clear that it, like, I don't know if it's just an old dump from 55 years ago that has some old rusting cans, or if it's petroglyphs, or and so I don't know if that would be helpful, but I just thought I'd mention it.
That's actually sort of private information, so I'm just going to leave it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's what Caltrans told us.
Huh. That's funny, because I'd think if you have to do a bunch of paperwork that,
Right. Well, that's part of the process, is paying for an archaeologist to do an assessment.
Okay.
And very often those ARC records are still confidential. It's just noted like the general area that you need to avoid, but not actually noting what is in there.
Oh, okay.
Confidential. That's the word I was looking for.
Great. All right. Thanks.
So I might be being a little pedantic, but in that first paragraph, you said the highest return intervals in the state, and intervals are actually good when they're high. It's actually a short interval we have here, or highest wildfire frequencies. So I'm sure everyone would understand.
Just clarify that.
Good point.
Pedantic is me, former professor. What am I supposed to do?
There we go. That clarifies it. Tracy.
Great. Works.
Yeah, this is great. A couple little things I would add, following up on Kate's comment, just add direct protection to that community, take out small, which directly protects the community. And then down where you say you want this so that CAL FIRE can burn in the spring of 2025, I would add and in subsequent years, so that we're keeping that open.
Okay, good idea. I just was okay. Okay.
We have phone, we should put a phone number, contact information for them to follow up.
Okay, good idea. Okay.
And Tanya, would you be the contact person for follow-up?
I guess I would. And then, I mean, they're also in conversation with CAL FIRE. This is just more our, yikes.
Letter of concern.
Our disapproval of the way the process was handled.
Right. But yeah, no, but I think it's a great point to have a way to follow up.
I guess as the coordinator of the Fire Safe Council, it would be me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
okay.
I mean, and actually would it make sense to have the letter be from you and Jonathan?
Well, Jonathan's representing, yeah.
For more information or clarification.
Great.
Yeah, I'll put my contact info in there.
Title there too.
Yeah, title and contact info.
Hey, Tanya, are those Yochidehe cultural resources?
That's confidential information, and I don't know for sure, but we are actually meeting with them tomorrow and have a list of projects that we're going to be talking to them about, the Cultural Resources Department, and this is one of them.
I was going to say, if they're not specifically Yochidehe, then the part about working with Yochidehe might be
It's
extra.
no, that's accurate. That's their ancestral territory. And Caltrans does work with the Cultural Resources Department of Yochdihi. So
Okay.
yeah, that is accurate.
Just for the record, I don't know if this got shared before, but Caltrans actually said this letter would be helpful too.
Oh, good. Awesome. And then since you seem to have some inside info, are these the right people to send it to?
I don't know the local folks, so if that's the list you got, then yes.
Okay. Leanne?
I'm looking at the list of people, and let's see, and after Ms. Lisa Worthington, Chief Office of Vegetation and Wildfire Management, so there's probably a comma missing if it's to.
Well, she's not District 3, she's statewide. So District 3, I think.
Oh, okay. And so then District 3.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense they're that District 3. Lisa's statewide, California.
But all these other guys, maybe Lisa should be at the top.
Yeah.
No, I think, oh, okay.
I mean, just in terms of.
And then all the rest of these guys is going to District 3.
Apparently it needed to go to, I think it goes to the district ones and maybe Lisa gets CC'd.
Oh, okay.
That was what was indicated to me after we discussed it and I spoke to Caltrans.
Okay.
Hey, just a quick question. I used to work in a previous life as a community outreach director at state parks, and we did controlled burns with the Mudson tribal band up in Año Nuevo. Do y'all need me to reach out to my contacts over in state parks and see if we need somebody up in Caltrans or anybody up at the state level?
That's
who could sport this on, or you already got that under control?
Yeah, Jorge, that's who Lisa is. She runs Caltrans State Veg program.
Oh, okay, great. Yes, I'm kind of naive. Yes, thank you.
And Tanya, you could take the Ms. out in front of her name, and you might want to say CAL FIRE in front of those LNU.
All right. I was not expecting to wordsmith, but those are all excellent points.
Kudos for your speedy online editing under pressure.
No. Okay, Leanne. Oh, there's all sorts of raised hands. Okay.
So I just want to thank you for doing this, because I think potentially this type of program that you're doing, this prescribed burn along 128, will also help Pleasance Valley, due to the fact that we have a lot of heavy north winds and westerly winds coming down through that canyon, where, you know, if you didn't do the prescribed burn on the north side of 128, it could flow over to the south side very easily. So thank you for doing this.
Yeah. Chief Close.
Good afternoon.
Hey.
Can you hear?
Yeah, you're a little broken up, but
I just have some comments about the titles for those chiefs at the bottom.
Okay.
For the unit, put Sonoma Lake Napa unit chief, and then Chief Bangarel and Chief Wink are assistant chiefs.
Okay. All right, done. Thank you. And it looks like there's a comment from the Air Quality Management District that communicated this as a potential impediment by a state agency to prescribe burning. Yeah, that's definitely what what happened. So thank you for bringing that up, Jeff. Dawn. Do you have a comment, Dawn?
I'm sorry. Do you need a motion from us, or what's the next thing for us to do?
Oh, that is an action item. Yes.
I move that we support you in sending this letter on our behalf, and with all our thanks.
We have a second or more discussion or notes?
I'll second, Elaine.
Okay. Got a motion and a second. Any other urgent notes? Beyond, making sure we just do one more quick spell check. There was a comment back there.
I fixed it.
All right. Hearing no more suggestions or discussion, I'll go ahead and call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Hearing none. Looks like this is carried.
Excellent. So Jonathan will coordinate to get your signature.
In town tomorrow. So.
Right.
All right. So we're now on to regular reports, but we're also well past time.
Well,
I move we skip the regular reports and adjourn.
Well, Tanya, is there anything that is exceptionally urgent that we need to be aware of now? Would be my one question.
Not from me personally. Just I would look at we have the rolling grant opportunities. Just a reminder that Kate can help with small grants for fire districts. And is there anything, Chief Close, do you have anything urgent to report from CAL FIRE?
No,
That's good news.
Tanya, if I could give a plug for the for the Prescribed Burn Association.
Yes, please.
I'll be fast, no worries. Yeah, I just wanted to let everyone know, if you haven't seen any of our emails or anything about prescribed burn training that has been going on. Last week, we actually kicked it off with 2 virtual trainings on August 19th and August 22nd. I'll drop a link in the chat to recordings for those trainings. And then on Saturday, there was an in-person training in Napa. If you missed that one, there's 2 more coming up. The one in Yolo is on Saturday, September 7th, and the one in Solano is on Saturday, September 21st. We just ask, if you want to attend that in-person training, that you watch those 2 virtual trainings that are available on that webpage that I just dropped in the chat, and that you register for whatever in-person training you're signed up for. It's just an introductory prescribed fire training to get folks some, introductory skills to participate in prescribed burns. The field date for Yolo is actually on a site where we're hoping to burn in the fall. But these trainings have no live fire components. It's just some skills development to get you prepared to participate in prescribed fire if that's what you're looking to do. So yeah, check out that link that I put in the chat. There's a bunch of meeting recordings and PDFs of presentations, lots of resources, and then registration pages for those 2 upcoming field days. You can choose one, whichever one works for you. So that's my quick plug for the PBA.
And this is Karen Young with Solano RCD. I dropped in a reminder about Glen Cove's Firewise event on August 30th, this coming Friday, and also put my email address in there if anybody has questions about that. And the Green Valley Facebook page for the shaded fuel break information.
Thank you. And I'll send that link out again for the shaded fuel break at some point soon.
Okay. Well, are we at that point?
I think so.
We've exposed the, we're probably going to need a meeting in September.
Probably so.
So next meeting would be September 25th in the usual Zoom meeting place. I guess call for a motion to adjourn unless there's any other discussion.
Laddish will move to adjourn.
Second.
And a second. All in favor?
Here, here.